Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga Texas construction update video. Whether you are a long-term or an occasional viewer of my Giga Texas construction videos, you've probably noticed that there's a lot of changes that are going on at the factory even after construction has been completed. And you're probably wondering, what are they doing making changes to the south end of the factory? And you've probably noticed that there was a very nice concrete lot here that was being used for new vehicle staging and transportation, and it seemed just fine. You probably may be wondering, why are they removing all the steel pipes and then installing concrete pipes in this section as well? Perhaps even wondering, do they even know what they are doing? And I don't blame you whatsoever, but I do have quite a bit to discuss on this subject. And there is a hint, there is a major plan for what's going on. This is an extremely detailed and long video, so buckle up and let's get ready to start. A special thank you to all of my outstanding Patreons for your continued encouragement and support. Patreon members get access to hundreds of high-resolution photos, previews of the future material, and direct dialogue with me. If you would like to support my channel, please consider becoming a patron using this link, which is also in the video description. Please also consider hitting the like and subscribe buttons, as this helps as well. Thank you. All right, so as I mentioned, this will be a very detailed and information-rich discussion, and it's based on two previous videos that I did, one on 29 September and one on 1 November 2021, so I'd recommend you take a look at that for more in-depth information. This is also based on some of the site plan documents that we discussed last year, and also it is based on on-site information that I have been receiving over the last several months, and also personal observations as I've been flying around with the drone. Perhaps the best place to start is to discuss what we are seeing at Giga Texas right now and how it relates to the document and the images on the left-hand side of the screen. This is labeled as Phase 2 on the site plan document, but unfortunately it doesn't really specify what exactly Phase 2 is other than the general shape. And it is classified as non-permeable or an impervious cover section of the construction site. Now, non-permeable or impervious cover is defined as any surface or material that will not allow the passage of water through that surface or the material and into the underlying soil at a rate that ensures runoff will not occur. And unfortunately, this means it could be almost anything. It could be some concrete pathways, it could be a parking lot, it could be storage facilities, a new building, or a host of other structures. So unfortunately, even though we had this information from the site plan and we now know what non-permeable cover means, we still need additional clues to figure out what this Phase 2 area might become. Unfortunately, last year on the 25th of July 2021, we got this information from Elon Musk, of course in a tweet. However, if you've watched his tweets, you know that we don't always get all of the details or additional information that we wish that we had. And this has created quite a bit of discussion over the last year and a half. So let's take a look at those tweets and let's go a little bit more in detail what he said at that time. This is the first of two tweets that Elon sent out last summer pertaining to the construction of the Giga Texas factory and its eventual changes in length. This first one talks about the building will be almost a mile long when complete, and this is noticeably longer than the building was at that time. In this second tweet, he said that the building is about 7 stories tall, so each floor is double size. He also mentioned, kind of cryptically, that length will grow by about 500 feet over time. Now, it took over a year, almost about 14 months, before we started to see any changes on the site that was related to this tweet about growing 500 feet over time. Now that it's occurring, I think it's time that we should take a look at these tweets a little bit more in depth and discuss what he means by 500 feet. So as you can see by the inset image on the upper left, the original length of the building was 3,875 feet long, or about 1,182 meters. You can see that with that red arrow. And it was also 1,175 feet wide, or about 360 meters wide. If we added an approximately 500 feet, or about 153 meters, the final length will only be about 4,375 feet, or about 1,335 meters long. And this you can see indicated with the orange arrow. Now, if this is accurate, this would bring the length to about 83% of a mile long, or about 1.35 kilometers long. And this is noticeably shorter than what Elon said here. It would be almost a mile long. I think we should take this to mean that it was approximating about a mile, and this is about close enough. Now, if we take a look at this green section on that phase 2 that we discussed, each floor would be about 520,000 square feet, or about 48,310 square meters. Now, based on what we'll talk about later, there's a possibility of up to 7 floors in this new structure, which would mean 7 floors usable for administration or other purposes. That would add, if that's true, up to 3.6 million square feet, or about 338,000 square meters added to the already gargantuan Giga Texas. As impressive as that may sound, unfortunately, as you'll see in the discussion that we have a little later in this presentation, the reality is a little bit different than what Elon had mentioned in his tweets. Based on the actual information that we see going on the ground right now, the length increase will only be about 450 feet, or about 130 meters. And this is caused by the actual relocation of the underground storm water pipes, which we will discuss in length, and the existing underground water management splitter box location. Again, something we'll talk about much more in depth in a few minutes. So based on this, the actual final length is estimated to be about 4,325 feet, or about 1,315 meters. And if we were to take a look at that in terms of miles or kilometers, we would see that this is about 82% of a mile long, or about 1.32 kilometers. Very impressive, but not quite the almost mile long that Elon Musk mentioned. Let's now go over some additional information that I've learned around the site over the last several months pertaining to the south end, the changes that we're seeing underway now, and what we can expect in 2023. Now, as we mentioned just previously, Elon Musk told us last summer that the building will be increasing in length. And now what I'm being told is that the entire south wall of the existing factory, which would mean the windows, loading doors, etc., as you can see indicated in the figure to the left, will be removed, and this will be done to connect the new structure to the existing structure in a contiguous way to make one connected building. Also, recapping what we discussed just previously, what I'm being told around the construction site is that the building will be extended about 450 feet, or about 130 meters to the existing length, and this will be done in that section where the concrete lot used to be located. Interestingly, I'm also being told that this portion of the structure, once completed, will be an administration building and likely become the permanent home to Tesla's worldwide headquarters. And as you can see by the inset figure, the height of the building and the ability to have administrative floors means that there could be up to 7 floors. However, there could also be an extension on the ground floor of General Assembly, or also something called end of line, which is where the vehicles are completed and then exit the building for shipping and transportation. Speaking of which, this construction will disrupt the current way that vehicles depart the factory and go over to the new car staging and transportation lot, as you can see by the inset image. What this means is that in the interim, we will see some change of how the vehicles exit the factory, and this is related to why the superchargers were installed on the east small parking lot. So how this will manifest will be interesting to observe. Another ramification of this construction on the south end is that it will affect the current and underway expansion of the General Assembly section, as you can see in the inset image, the light blue, for the assembly lines 2 and 3, which are under construction and assembly right now, one of which is for the Cybertruck. It will also affect the current work going on inside Stamping 2, as you can see in the light purple, with the installation and assembly of the AIDA and other steel fabrication machines, which are also related to the Cybertruck production. And this will be another thing that I will continue to watch with a lot of interest as the construction on the south end begins to really pick up speed. Now that we are armed with all of this additional information, on-site observations, and context, we can take a closer look at what will be required for this major construction project to lengthen the building an additional 450 feet. One of the primary objectives that the crews have to do is reconfigure the entire south water management system that was installed in November 2021. And this extensive system protects Giga Texas from rainwater runoff. And that is, in fact, what we are seeing the crews on the site doing today. I would like to remind you that there's a lot of detail in the water management system that I covered previously on this video, the 1st of November 2021. I would recommend you go back and look at that for all of the information of how the water management system was designed and installed at that time. I'd like to give a general overview of the water management system employed here at Giga Texas, its design, and how it was installed, as this will be important for our discussions a little bit later on in this video. Now, they use steel corrugated pipes that run around and under the main factory, and this purpose is to direct rainwater from the roof, in this case the blue arrows, and external areas, in this case the red arrows, around the factory and to the south end, collecting in something called a splitter box shown in yellow. They also used two different diameter pipes for the installation. One is about 4 feet or 1.5 meters in diameter, and the other larger pipe is about 6 feet or approximately 2 meters in diameter. They had an on-site temporary pipe mill installed in 2021 just on the east side of the stamping machine structure to facilitate manufacturing all of the pipes that were needed. Now, there's also additional water management pipes that run under the east parking lot and other sections of the construction site as well. Let's talk briefly about a few other key parts of the water management system, starting with the splitter box. As you can see in the left-hand corner photo, this is how it appears when it was under construction in November 2021. You can clearly see the steel corrugated pipes that are entering and exiting the structure. Now, the purpose of the splitter box is to control the speed and volume of water through the system and redirect this water to various streams or channels. In this case, one of those is to the south outfall headwall, which is to the Colorado River, and the other is to the pond forebay, also known as the cyber pond. In this image, you can see what that outfall headwall channel at the Colorado River looks like, or it did when it was under construction, and it has been operational for more than a year. On the right-hand side, you can see the site plan documents indicating how it was constructed. Also, the cyber pond, also known as the forebay and main pool, looks like this today. It's part of an architectural feature, but it's also part of the water management system. In the upper right, you can take a look at how the site plan indicated its construction. Here's a little bit more detailed information of how the stormwater pipes and the splitter box were constructed. You can see the legend on the bottom left of the direction of the flow coming into the splitter box. Here, item 1 is in from the west side of the building. Item 2 comes in from the entire east side of the building. It runs the length of the building down to the stamping machine structure, follows that angled corner, and then cuts across the entire south end where the concrete lot used to be. In addition to that, you can see number 3 in purple. This is the rainwater drainage system that takes rainwater from the roof, directs it underneath the building, and then over to the splitter box. Now, the water needs to go somewhere, so as you can see with item number 4, one of the paths is to exit the splitter box and go directly to the cyber pond just to the south, and this helps to fill that pond. There's also a drainage system installed. And then item number 5 shows you the other path, and with these pipes, it directs it all the way down to the south near the south bridge for that outfall headwall and then into the Colorado River. This image shows you how the entire system was installed and how it operates on this south end. This is critical to understand why they're doing all of the work currently on the south end. Here is a different perspective of the entire south end, now with the context of the water management system, and this shows how it was originally installed. And you can clearly see the inlet coming from the east side and also from the roof running through the middle of this section. The problem that the crews are faced with and trying to resolve right now is that these steel corrugated pipes that run underneath this section are not suitable for supporting a foundation or a structure, and they must be removed. So they need to rework this entire system. Here's an example from the 10th of September showing the original of the two different sizes of pipes installed. And these are going to have to be either removed or replaced with concrete segments, especially that purple section that you see. In the inset photo, you can see the concrete pipe sections that were delivered on site in late November 2022 and are being used to replace that purple segment. All right, so we've talked a lot about the information about what is going on here, the lengthening of the building, and some of the information surrounding the construction and the ultimate goal once it's completed. We've talked about the water management system, what its purpose is, how it was installed, why it needs to be removed and reconfigured to support this construction. So now we can start put some sense to what we've been seeing around the site over the last several months. In image number 1, we can see that saw cutting and removal of the concrete lot. They had to do this as part of the water management system reconfiguration process. Also, the existing concrete lot was deemed insufficient to be the foundation for the new building, as they needed to install quite a bit of piers to support the new foundation. So for both reasons, they had to saw cut and remove that concrete lot. Photo 2 also shows that we had this tall crane doing deep pier drilling and then putting in rebar reinforced concrete piers into the ground. And this is in and around the area where they'll be replacing one of the steel corrugated pipes with the concrete pipes that can support construction and the weight of a foundation. And number 3 is this testing rig that was testing the strength of those piers to determine what exactly is needed to reinforce this section of the foundation over where those concrete pipes are being installed. Also, one of the indications that we'll see that foundation construction is about to be underway, I believe, is we'll see this crane and drill return and start drilling the piers needed. And if you'd like more information about how these piers are constructed, please look at my 5 December 2022 video where I go into a lot more depth and information. Finally, in some of the other sections, I suspect we'll see some more geopiers, which are a different kind of pier that we'll probably see installed around the rest of the site to support the foundation. So all of these will be indicators that I'll be looking for to determine when the foundation construction has begun. So now let's see how they will actually make the changes necessary to allow for the construction. This is part 1, where we'll see how the revised steel corrugated pipe to redirect the in from the east side water is going to be constructed. It will skirt around the south end of the new building foundation just north of the cyber pond, as you can see in this image. Now what you see here is an image on the left-hand side of the screen from 1 April 2021 showing the large diameter pipe being installed on the east side of the stamping machine structure heading to the south. And in the inset, you can see how it angles through the middle part of the construction area. This shows where they will have to remove this particular pipe and then reestablish a new connection for the pipe that will go around the construction area. This is an indication of what we're seeing on site right now. Photo 1 shows on the west side how the pipe is being redirected in an angled form. Photo 2 shows the south end. Photo 3 shows the east side, and then photo 4 shows where it will connect into the splitter box. With this information, you can see where they'll have to do the cuts and remove of the pipe and where they'll have to do new connections to make this system operate. Once this is installed, I will expect to see the center large corrugated pipe that runs through the middle of the construction site, dug up and removed. Part 2 of the reconfiguration work for the water management system is the replacement of the original small diameter steel pipe indicated in purple that is part of the roof rainwater system that runs under the factory and over to the splitter box. They need to replace this with the concrete pipes. And as you can see here in the bottom left-hand corner photo, this is how it was originally installed, and you can clearly see the pipe being directed to the corner of the steel structure at this time, and then the dotted line shows where it ran underneath the building. Photo in the upper right, 26 December, shows that reconfiguration work with the concrete pipe segments, and the inset shows those actual concrete pipe segments that they were using. In these images, photo 1 shows the route that this concrete pipe will take from the splitter box. Photo 2 shows the direction that it will go, and you can see that it will still remain underneath the foundation, which is why they're using the concrete pipe segments. And then photo 3 shows the connection to that splitter box, which is underneath that asphalt parking lot. This is an overall high-angle shot showing how the reconfigured water management system will look when it is completed. And then this image shows you where that new foundation will be installed. And you can see how it works in concert with the revised pipes under the ground for the water management system to allow for this construction to continue. Putting together everything that we've discussed and I've shown you, now we can take a look at the construction on the south end and talk about the dimensions and why we said it would only be about 450 feet longer, or about 130 meters. And it has everything to do with that water management system, how it was redirected, and the space it takes. This is a different view of that underground pipe configuration. You can see that the length of the foundation is about 450 feet or 130 meters, and then the space necessary for those pipes is about 50 feet or about 20 meters. And this is predominantly one of the reasons why that 500 feet was only an estimate from Elon Musk. You can also see on the left-hand side of the screen that splitter box. Where it is located is very interesting. It's very close to the outer wall of the extended building, which is a little bit unusual, but also its placement causes a problem with the underground water system pipes, as they only have so much room to work with to go around the new foundation. So this is another contributing factor to this slightly shorter overall increase in length. Okay, so it's time for a little bit of fun in this discussion. We know that the building is going to be lengthened, but we don't know what it's going to look like, and there's nothing official from Tesla that I'm aware of. So I thought I would take a shot and make a couple of renderings to help spark some discussion and maybe get some creative ideas based on these from my viewing audience. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. We'll start off here with option number 1. This one's pretty easy. It just takes the existing south end, moves it about 450 feet to the south, and it keeps the same window lines and the same cargo doors. And I added a Tesla logo at the south end, and then maybe a road that goes around between the cyber pond and the building, and some parking on the corners perhaps. Number 2 is a little bit more interesting. This takes advantage of the fact that this might be an administration section with multiple floors that are occupied. So I extended the window line to 3 different levels. I also added in the west side main entrance treatment just to see how that would look. Maybe a concrete apron, parking on the corners, and another small road as well. But there are plenty of opportunities architecturally to embellish this part of the building. And this is only just the beginning, and I would just love to hear what your thoughts are and maybe your suggestions. So put them in the comments of the video. I'd love to get an idea of what you think we may be seeing with this new construction and lengthening of the building. All right, we finally reached the end of this long and detailed discussion. And I just want to recap a few of the things that we talked about before we bring this to a close. We talked about Elon's tweet saying that the building would be lengthened. I showed you some diagrams and pictures with the dimensions and how that would appear. We talked about the site plan itself and some on-site information that I have about the south end reconfiguration work that's underway. We talked about the water management system, its design, original installation, why it needed to be reconfigured, and the ways that it is being reconfigured to allow a new foundation to be constructed to support the building. We talked about the removal of the concrete, the pier drilling and testing, and the indications that we'll see when these pier drilling machines return that the foundation work is about to begin. And we talked a little bit about how the new foundation and the new water management system will work together. And finally, we looked at some possible renderings of what this new south end might look like. And as always, there's a lot of other options out there, and I would love to hear all of your thoughts and suggestions as well. Now, I mentioned that there's a lot more detail that I've gone over on previous videos, and you can see here the two most important videos that if you would like to go back and get more information on all of these subjects, I would recommend you do so. But overall, a very detailed discussion and a lot of information that I hope that you found helpful and useful. And it also gives us something to look forward to in 2023 as construction continues. As always, thank you very much for watching my videos and for your great support. I hope you have a great day.